Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Tech Tony podcast. As usual, I'm Tech Tony. I'm here with a guest today, Craig. And due to the last several podcasts, still figuring out StreamYard because apparently, as I was learning, so do you know, Craig, do you know Chris McLean?
No.
He's another podcaster. He's the one that got me onto StreamYard. And I was
Okay.
watching his recording of me, and I was watching your recording of me, and you're able to do you zoomed in on my face, and Chris can do the same thing. I haven't figured out how to do that.
I do it through I use Streamlabs OBS, which is just OBS basically. So I have a little thing on my desk here. I don't know if the cable will stretch. Is it going to stretch to my face?
I see shiny lights.
That thing. Yeah, it's got loads of buttons on it, and it's got different camera angles effectively. And it's basically just parts of my screen, different parts of my screen. So you'll be there on Zoom, and then I'm there coming through the camera, as you can see here. And all I do is click different buttons, and then when I click the button, the camera angle changes. And there you go. That's how it works.
Well, I'm still building up my setup. Like I said, when I was watching your podcast and learning about it, I saw your mic, so I purchased this to help me out with my pod. But you look better on Zoom calls when you have this. I feel that's just a personal preference. People are like, "Oh, you look all professional with this microphone, Tech Tony." I'm like, "Yes, I do. I'm pretending to know something."
I found it a bit weird with client meetings. Sometimes I've been on the receiving end of it, where I've gone into a client meeting on Zoom, and they've got this crazy professional setup, and I don't usually use the professional setup for client meetings, and it feels sometimes a little bit like they're almost wearing a wedding suit or something to go to a Zoom meeting. So I'm not so sure about it. The right meetings. So if it's a new client meeting or something like that, or I have to impress them more than usual, I'd probably do it. But for the sake of, I don't have this set up all the time, so it's a bit annoying to set it up. So I don't tend to do it for every client meeting.
I will. I love it. I just personally do it. I have the overhand on mine because I do have a standing. Do you have a standing desk?
I do, not at home, but I do in the office.
Okay. I really like my standing desk and like how it's attached to it. Blue is who makes mine, not a sponsor yet, but Blue is who makes mine. Apps, I really like it. I like you said, trying to impress the clients when you have talked to them, especially a first time interaction. They're like, "Oh, you got a mic," and they're over here like wrestling with their camera, like doing this issue. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, I just put my hands in front of the camera. And it does help. I feel like it does help make you look a little bit more like a professional. Your camera angle is a little different from mine because I noticed. Do you change your camera angles? Because on your tweets on the video, it's a different angle.
On the videos for Twitter, I look straight into the camera like that. When I'm recording a podcast, I have it, as you can see, coming down at the side of my face. It's purely because of the setup I've got. I've got my monitor in front of me here, and then I've got the camera off to the right. So there's no room for the camera to be pointed straight at my face. And it was also a thing that, we've all watched Joe Rogan. You notice on Joe Rogan, the camera is never pointed at the face. It's kind of slightly off to the side. So when I'm talking to somebody, I don't know, it feels a little bit more, because I'm on the right here, which is weird. I'm usually on the left.
You're normally the interviewer.
Yeah. Normally when there's two people, I like to have it so I'm kind of slightly looking to them a little bit, so it pulls the viewer in. This is like super geeky conversation podcast stuff. But yeah, I just prefer the camera angle. It makes me look better as well.
It makes me look better as well.
I need all the help I can get, man.
Shoot. Well, Craig, we've been chit-chatting for a little while. People are watching, hopping around. Tell everyone who you are, what you do, man. Yeah.
Oh God, that's a 10-minute story. I guess
as I read on your Twitter, when you click that little link, it's like, oh well, you got 40 minutes.
Yeah. I think the simplest thing to say and the most important thing for this is that I run an agency, a digital and branding agency called Genius Division. I am the creative director. We're a team of 5 based in the UK. in a little town called Barnsley. We work with people, you know, everywhere these days. So I'm a designer by trade, really. That's the simplest thing to understand about me. But to be honest, the majority of the time I spend talking to clients or working on some high-level design stuff or talking to more clients or winning some work. So I've really got a mixed bag of a role because we're only a team of 5, so everybody pitches in. So that's what I've spent. The agency's been running 10 years now, nearly 11. And I've been a designer for 15, 16 years or something like that. So pertinent to this podcast, that's probably what you want to know, that I'm in the game, so to speak.
I met you through Twitter, through a mutual friend that we both interviewed, but you weren't always on Twitter, and you might. I know during our last interview, when you interviewed me, you were talking to me about using Twitter, and I fell off the block. I haven't posted anything for 8 days on Twitter. Shame on me because you told me better. So when you started your Twitter game, explain to everyone a little bit about Twitter. Why did you start and get there? Because for me, that's my second to last platform I'm on. The next platform is Instagram. I think you said you're on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I use Instagram rarely, but I use it to post little doodle design things that I do regularly. Yeah, so I guess the story with all this is, the big story is I've, you know, been a marketer, designer, all that kind of thing. I've been in the game for 15, 16 years. And I convince my clients that they need to market things. They need to write blog posts. They need to be on Twitter. They need to use Instagram. And I not used any of it for all of that time, apart from the thing that everybody uses it for, to mess around, I guess, to follow celebrities, all that kind of thing. So it wasn't until my 14th, nearly 15th year of being a designer that I finally decided, right, if I'm going to use social media and I'm telling all my clients that they should use social media, I need to, one, set a little bit of an example or get off it, just not use it anymore, just stop being a bit of a hypocrite. So I thought, well, I don't really want to lose the Twitter account that I've had for 12 or 13 years at this point.
Oh.
Let's actually try and do something with it. So at that point, my Twitter, Craig Burgess, had, I don't know, 500, 600 followers, something like that. And I decided to just start taking it seriously, taking Twitter seriously. So I chose Twitter over everything else. I don't think the medium really matters, to be perfectly honest, but I was just drawn to Twitter for some reason. So I started writing 10 tweets per day, and I wanted to do it for a year. And I started this it was last February 2020, just before the pandemic. So I started writing 10 tweets every day. And I just saw. I wanted to see where it went. And after a year of doing that, I went from 600 or something followers to 5,000 and odd that I've got now. So I was like, well, this is working. I'd got business from it as well, more importantly. Captured a few clients from it, a couple of high-level clients, and I'd built a reputation for being internationally known as a designer, marketer, whatever way you want to put it. So I'd built an audience to be able to send them my message, and I wouldn't be sat here on this if I wouldn't have done that. So that was February 2020, which brings us to today. And now I still use Twitter. Twitter is still my main kind of platform for marketing myself and Marketing Genius division. But I also do other stuff like podcasting. Another thing I always tell my clients to do: you should podcast. I also make YouTube videos. I now just recently started an email newsletter. And really, the same thing applies from when I started last February. It's all an experimentation, and it's all an experiment to see what kind of tricks or tips or hacks I can pass off to my clients. And some things have worked and some things haven't. So yeah, I guess that's the story.
Well, I love how because clients, they don't see the struggle, they see us. That's one of the reasons why I do these podcasts live. So they see not necessarily failures, but us working on our branding as personal for Pathfinder, or more so for Tech Tony, because I know it's none of my clients. They say Pathfinder Digital Marketing. It is a long name. They say Tech Tony. Oh, he's my Google guy type situation. So I've been branding that.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing. I'm telling my clients, well, be on Facebook. I started on Facebook, essentially, Facebook Live, Facebook videos. Went from that, went to YouTube. From YouTube, went to TikTok, was getting hard. And I started last year on TikTok, January 1st, posted video every single day. And then in October, I got my first gig off TikTok videos, of all things. And it paid for it. It paid for everything I put effort into. Proof of concept to my clients. I wouldn't say just like you, like trying things out and failing. But one of the things is pushing our clients to make the content, to involve themselves. Because I don't know about you, both of us have clients internationally, everywhere. And you can't chase your client and sit there in the office and pull out your camera and be like, all right, we're making a video today. You have to, I don't know about you, I get aggravated sometimes. Just like, make your freaking content, guys. Is there something, is there a way you found besides nagging your clients that's kind of helped them to be like, all right, Craig's right, we got to do something, make a podcast or make a tweet?
It's the hardest conversation I have with clients, trying to convince them to write regular blog posts, start a podcast, write an email newsletter, all of these different things. It isn't a conversation I am generally very successful at. The place that we usually come into the kind of marketing mix is we're either making them a website or we're doing them the branding from scratch or rebranding them or things. So there's an element of the website passing over to them at some point. And at that point, I'm having conversations with them to say, look, this isn't the end. This is the very beginning. We've made you a website and it's a beautiful new website, but all it is just a beautiful website in a minute. You need to fill it with content now. If you want it to rank, if you want it to do well in Google, if you want to build a reputation, you need to start blogging or you need to start writing content, whatever flavor that you prefer. And the only kind of, I think there's a mindset to it. And as I said, I didn't have this mindset for 15 years. So I do sympathize to some extent. There's a mindset that most people have, and I was there for the longest time, that your work will sell you. If you do a good job, your work will sell you. And to some extent, that's true, because that's the way that we built Genius Division for the majority of the 10 years. But there's a limit to that. And the limit to that is that you just have to take on the clients that come to you every time. You don't have an influx of clients coming to you. You just have people that comes in by referrals or whatever.
Which is when you word of mouth is good.
It isn't bad. It's not bad at all. But when you start marketing yourself and being yourself online and actually putting an opinion across, you suddenly get more work than you could ever know what to do with. And that is a better situation to be in than just having to say yes to everything that comes through the door. And I've been in both of those situations, and I can tell you for a fact that the second situation is the one that every business would want. And not just that, it's the fact that you get to control the message that's out there about you as well.
Yes, especially my mentor always told me you can't, well, maybe not, you can't control the conversation about your business, but you can direct it.
Yes. You can. Yeah, you can direct the conversation, and the way that I've done it, which is probably quite useful for people to know, is that similar to you, really, I never mention my business. I never mention Genius Division, even though I've said it about 10 times on this. I normally never mention it. So even in my profile, there's no mention of the agency. It's me. It's all about me. So I build a personal brand around me, which is just me saying things. And that leads to people being curious about me. So when they want my services, which is design or marketing or any kind of marketing help, websites, etc., all that stuff, they have a loose indication that that's the kind of thing that I do. So then I get a message off them. But the only reason they message me is because I'm always in their brains. I'm always tapping on their heads, going, "Look, I'm still here. I'm on Twitter. I'm writing 10 times a day. You know, I'm here. I'm here." And most of the time, it's not about marketing or design or any of that stuff. But they can't ignore me. So that's where those inbound leads come from, because I'm always present online in some fashion, and it's hard to ignore the person. If you have two people in front of you, and this is the situation that, well, I found myself in. If you imagine you have got your business and another business next to it, and there is nothing separating the two businesses in terms of quality of service, in terms of skill level, experience, everything. There's nothing separating those two businesses that we're talking about. The only difference is that the managing director of one of those businesses has a podcast, or he has an email newsletter, or he's talking about his business online. Which one do you pick?
The one that has proof of their work, essentially.
Exactly.
Or it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Because what I haven't done, and you reminded me, was the whole normally I don't talk about your company, you talk about yourself. With my content, I don't talk about Pathfinder. In fact, I don't even mention Pathfinder now that I think about it, any of my videos recently. I just thought, hey, I'm Tony. This is what Google's doing this week. It may or may not screw your company over. Here we go. And it's education based material, which you're also in that same industry, education. I personally don't call myself an entertainer, that's for sure, but it's all educational based knowledge. Like, hey, small businesses, this is what's happening. You got to be ready for this. And most of what I say is information that they can take themselves. They don't have to hire me to do it. They can apply the changes themselves as needed. And that has definitely helped me with myself as well. Small businesses need to be making their content. They need to be able to have different avenues. And it aggravates me, these are the top two excuses I get that piss me off is, we've always done it this way. I'm too busy.
The second one drives me mental, because it's not true. It isn't true. Those kind of people that say that, and I can say this because I was one of those people for 15 years. Those kind of people that say that say they're too busy purely as an excuse for the fact that they can't make content. There is some kind of content that you can make in way less amount of time than you think you can make it. It can take 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. There's always time in a week somewhere to make some kind of consistent content. It's the attitude. For me, it was the attitude of promoting myself. I didn't want to be the guy online talking about myself. I didn't want to be the guy online saying, well, this is how you do this thing, or you should think this thing, because who am I? Who am I really? I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy out of a sea of hundreds of thousands of other guys who do design, for example. Who am I to talk about that thing? And that's the thing that most people think, I believe, in terms of clients. They know they're an expert, but there's the imposter syndrome that sneaks in every single time. And they think, do I know enough? Can I say this? Or they worry about the backlash online. That's the other thing that I get. I used to get this a few years ago now, with when Google Plus was first coming out, and they were pushing everybody to when they was they was pushing everybody to make Google Places pages, to link through to Google Plus. And a lot of my clients used to say, I don't want to make a page because I don't want people to leave negative reviews. That's the kind of mindset that a lot of people have. I don't want to put myself out there because I don't want to get the negative responses. In a year and a half of me putting content out online, I have never had a single negative response about anything that I've ever made.
You don't have any haters?
No.
Dude, I've gotten so much hate sometimes. I'm like, YouTube videos, TikTok videos, people, and I'll just be like, what? I'm not saying you're not doing your job right. I think it's hilarious because I don't get into argument. It's not worth being keyboard warrior sitting there and whatnot. But one time this guy did get to me, and he was straight up lying about a feature on Google, which is free. And he was saying it was paid. And so I stopped what I was doing. I made a video to respond to him, showing how incorrect he was. And people were like, "Oh yeah, Tony's right. Tech Tony's right." And he's like, like just throwing his fit online and just calling me out stuff and whatnot. It's funny. It is for me. I take it like that because they're leaving comments, so they're creating engagement on my profile.
Yeah.
But have any of your clients experienced negativity online?
A couple of clients have, if they're in kind of a target industry, real estate, for an example,
Ooh, yeah.
those kind of people always get a lot of hate on Google reviews and things like that, Facebook reviews and things. Yeah. A lot of sabotage and things like that go on. But to be honest, the majority of people know. Most people who leave bad reviews, it's usually sabotage. It's very rarely a bad review. And even if it is a bad review, you just respond to it. You just respond to it and say, "I'm really sorry you've had this experience. This is not typical of what we do. If you get in touch with us directly on X number or this email address, we'd love to address this issue personally with you. Regards, business owner." That's it. It's as simple as that. And then it's gone. It's forgotten about. Nobody cares. Everybody gets a bad review. To hold yourself back from saying anything online purely because you're worried about what people are going to say about you, and it doesn't really happen that very often. It's the whole kind of abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset. You're worried about what you're going to lose rather than worrying about what you're going to gain, which is everything.
Yeah. Have you dealt with anyone in the restaurant industry?
No.
It's a tough one, dude, because they get some. I just recently made a video on TikTok and on Facebook because part of my job is reputation management. I had helped my clients respond to reviews, and if it's a really bad review, I help the client, coach the client how to respond to it. Well, one of my restaurant clients had a bad review, a 1-star review, and all she said was the French fries weren't great. And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Really? Out of your entire dining room experience, French fries were a 1-star? That's like a 4-star problem, not a 1-star problem." And I actually replied to it professionally. I told her, I was like, opinions are like shoe sizes. Everyone has one. We'd love for you to come back. Blah blah. We'll give you a free meal. I professionally replied to it because my owner, the business owner, was about to like rip that lady a new one. And I was like, "Calm down. Let's back away a bit." Another thing I've noticed, which when the scarcity thing or our clients getting scared, I had another client posting a lot of video content consistently. He was getting great engagement, 10,000 views of video, hundreds of comments and shares. And then he started getting people that were like just talking crap. And it brought him down. And he stopped making the content. And I was like, "Dude, look, you made the content. You got business from said content. Why did you stop? Like, if you have to, just don't read the comments, I guess." I mean, it frustrates me on how, for one, when you play the internet game, how savage people can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that the human mind is wired, right? We see 10 positive comments, and then in between the 10 positive comments is one negative comment that the fries were bad. And all we do is focus on the fact that the fries were bad, but not everybody else who said the meal was amazing. It's just human nature. It's just the way we are.
It does bother me when it goes against my clients. When it's against me, I'm like, "I don't care. You're the one that took the time to watch the video. Go to the comment section and leave a comment. Thanks for the activity. Did you share it too by chance?" Like,
well, I think the other thing that's quite difficult for clients to deal with, and you probably experienced this yourself, is I'll tell them to blog or I'll tell them to podcast or things like that, and then nobody will view it, or only a few people will view it, and they think, "Oh, well, I've written a blog post. Where's the 3,000 people why are people not smashing down my door looking for business? It doesn't work like that. This is a long-term play, and it's going to take time.
I want to touch that a little bit more. Yes, it is. I love you about how you brought that up. Because in our industry, I'm sure you'll see someone that'll be on Facebook or something. Oh, hire me and I'll increase your website traffic by 400% in 7 days. I'm like, if you can do that, I'll hire you myself. like, let's do this, man. It's because when I get a client, I don't know, I guess in a sense, what bad habits they've had or what YouTube videos they watched before they got to me. So I don't know what lies have been fed to them type of situation. I don't know how do you set expectations for your clients. Because I tell them when we start this, it's a long-term game. Yes, Google Ads, I'm pretty good. 30 days will show proof of work. 30 days will show proof of concept, and then 180 days you'll see your ads work. And they go, "Ooh, I got to spend how much for this period of time?" I'm like, let's set expectations. You're still gonna get business. We're not wasting money. I don't know. But how do you, when you're with your clients, do you set those standards with them?
I think the thing that you've got to do straight away is like what you just said, set expectations. We only do a small amount of SEO, which is on-page SEO. I'm always very specific with them that it's on-page SEO that we're doing, which means that we're doing some of the important stuff that a lot of other people normally forget, which is page titles, meta descriptions, making sure that the content is primed to be found in search engines. That doesn't stop the fact that you need to get traffic, which is where other things come in, like acquiring backlinks, finding somebody to do that kind of thing, or Google ads or Facebook ads and all that kind of thing. So I'm always very careful to set expectations with people. I don't get it as much from clients now. I used to get it quite a lot, where they'd forward me one of those emails and they say, oh, they're saying they can get me on the first page of Google. No, they can't. They definitely can't. You can try them if you want, but they'll destroy your website most likely.
Yeah.
So we don't get it as much anymore. I think people have wised up to a lot of this kind of thing. I rarely face uneducated clients around this kind of thing. They know that it's a long-term game for a lot of them. Google isn't as easily gamed anymore. People know that really what Google is mostly looking for, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just quality content. And it wants to put the right thing at the top of the listings. And if you're trying to make a website with 100 words with one page rank at the top of Google for a key search term that gets, hundreds of thousands of searches, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, you're very correct. So my agency, we don't like, for those that have followed me, y'all know I primarily do PPC. I do a little bit of SEO work, but when I do, it's on-site SEO to get the site to function properly, because the on-site SEO will actually benefit the ads. Because the ad is more relevant to what's on the website, which means my client gets a cheaper click per conversion. Which and for my small businesses, pennies lead up to dollars. That stuff adds up for companies that are spending money. And it's even my large client accounts that are spending thousands of dollars a month on Google Ads. If we can save them, if we can drop their ad spend by 8%, it's because the on-site SEO functioned properly. The ad relates to the search, which relates to what the web page says, and it's actually all true. And Google likes that on top of the quality content, and then everyone's happy, and we get leads based off of it.
Yeah, and there's no hiding anything, is there? You're not trying to hoodwink somebody. You're being 100% honest. You're providing good value, and everything from the advert right through to the website explains the thing that they're going to get perfectly, and that's why they click to do whatever, to book a meeting or to buy the product or whatever. If any of that process is wrong, or it's a lie, or they feel like they're getting cheated, they just don't go any further. That's the way it works.
Yeah. And funny enough, I just got the email today, starting September 1st this year. Google's already has some pretty strict rules for SEO and ads, and they're enforcing the rules even more. They're having a 3-strike system. I haven't read the full email yet, but what I've determined is they're going to just completely take you offline. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to show up if you're lying, if you're deceitful, lying, or what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like it's like lying. But anyways, if you're just not telling the truth, if you're going to be permanently taken offline, like some serious repercussions. And so I was talking to my Google Ads guy, and none of my clients do this. But I was like, man, we're going to see a lot of websites go down because all the proof. And Google's strict, like your stuff won't show up. Like you're done. And then I guess you go to Bing or Yahoo. I don't know.
Well, sometimes if a client comes to us for a new website and they haven't had one for quite a long time, let's say 5 or 10 years, and they come to us and we start talking strategy and content and what you're going to do, they'll say some things like, well, are you going to do the thing with the local links at the bottom of the site? Are you going to stuff it with keywords at the bottom? And I'm just always at pains to say that the most important thing you can do is write good content and provide value and actually make a useful, resourceful website, which, to be honest, is actually easier for most clients to do anyway, because they know their industry inside out. It's easy for them to write about their industry. What's hard for them to do is to try and pretend, to try and understand what the search engines want. The truth is, if you stick a lot of good content on your website, make it easy to navigate, make sure it's actually a good website as well, make sure it works quickly and all those technical kind of things. If you just focus on making your website, I know this sounds crazy, useful, it actually does well in both search engines and if you're running paid ads to it too, because it's actually useful for people to, they click on the ad, they go through to the website and they go, oh my God, this is actually the answer to what I've been looking for. Boom, it's done. The sale is made or the call is booked. It doesn't actually get much more complicated than that, but people still think there's some kind of hidden secret to this stuff. There isn't.
No, digital marketing is easy when you think about it. We make it hard. And that's what I was told. One of my mentors was telling me that he's like, it's not that hard. And I was getting frustrated. The reason he said that because I was getting frustrated over the action of the particular website. And my mentor was screen sharing with me. And he's like, all right, go to Google Analytics. And I went there and he already solved the problem. He knew what it was. And he was like, Tony, what does the data say? Like, Tony, pay attention. It's not that hard. It's right in front of your face. And we were able to, I was able to finally determine what it was. He's like, congratulations, you just figured it out. Now let's go fix the damn problem. Like, even though he already knew. And I like to, I try to do it with my clients. What I learned, I don't know if you've tried this. Have you ever been to an Apple store?
Yes, for my sins.
Have you? And this is a very interesting tactic. I'm starting to implement this in the company now. When you go to the Apple store, they don't take the phone from your hands and fix it. They hand it back to you. They stand there with you and tell you how to do it, and you stand there hitting the buttons so that you learn how to fix it yourself, solve the problem. And so in our industry, you and me, Google is a black box that businesses know they have to have: website, SEO, ads, GMB, all that fun stuff. Good graphic design, good functioning website. They don't understand it or know how. And so what I've been doing lately is sitting down with my clients. They pull up Google Analytics, and do you work with analytics or do you do dashboards?
Yeah, we put analytics on websites.
Yeah.
To be honest, most of the clients don't look at it.
Exactly. And so what I've been doing is like, listen, I know you're busy, but I really want you to understand what I'm doing in this background. I pull analytics, and they pull it up, and you see this look of shock in their face, like, what is all this? Like, all right, calm down. I'm going to show you. And I sit there, and I'm sitting there behind it, and we just started doing this a month ago, so I think it's working. Sit behind them, and do the Apple thing, and teach them how to navigate their analytics and see, oh, that's what Tony did, or when he updated my website, that's what caused this spike in traffic to come, which led to my phone ringing. Essentially, for most of my clients, the phone ring out, or download my PDF, watch my video type of stuff. That's been for my clients that are locally. I've done that, and for my clients that are international, I use a lot of video tactics. I use Loom. Have you ever heard of Loom?
Yes. Yeah, I've used that.
Yeah, I use that. and I'll create how-to tutorials. Hey, this is what you got to do to figure out when Tony sends you a report, what it means, where it happened. And I learned that from my Google Ads guy, because he has a 98% retention rate. He's good. Shout out, I don't know if he's watching, Tim Tompkins. Shout out to him. He's bloody good at what he does. And since I've hired him and he's been teaching me this, my retention rate has gone up with my clients as well.
Yeah, one thing that we try to do, I don't tend to try, unless a client wants to understand analytics, I don't usually show them. What we do, yeah, what we do is we send them a cut down report. So I actually send them a report every month, and we've got kind of an internal system that does all this. The report is elements of Google Analytics that we think matter. So clicks or views or whatever. Elements of Google Search Console that we think matter, which is usually how many times you've been searched, how many times have the links been clicked in Google search engine. And then below that, it's just some further data to either do with keywords that you're ranking for, or just some other content-based stuff. And then the final page of the document is, these are some of the issues that we've spotted with your website, and these are the things that we're fixing. So what we actually send them is a really cut down report that is fairly easy to understand. But even then, a lot of the time they don't understand that report. But what I do with that report is that, especially the first month when they come on board and they've never seen one, I actually set up a Zoom meeting and chat to them about it. This is what this means. This is what this means. This is what this means. So they can understand the basic report. We give them access to Google Analytics, but to be honest, I think it's overkill for a lot of clients. I would be bold enough to say that some clients don't even need Google Analytics, because you don't need all that tracking going on. You don't need to be giving everything over to Google, conspiracy tinfoil hat time. You don't need that stuff unless you do need that stuff. So if you don't even need to track those things, sometimes, although it doesn't happen very often, we can convince clients not to even have Google Analytics on there.
It's rare. Yeah, I think I've done that once in 7 years with my clients, trying to get them to not freak out over this and not use, like, hey, let's take a step back. You don't need analytics right now. You're just starting out, and it is overkill. I don't think you and I have talked about this. Have you looked at the new GA4, the new analytics?
I had. Yeah, I had a bit of a battle with it on a few websites. Because we use, so the report that I was just talking about, some of it is generated in SEMrush, however you say it. And it only supports GA3 tags, and we didn't realize. So we were setting up a whole bunch of new clients on there, and I just set Google Analytics up like you normally would, defaults to GA4 now. And it didn't work with SEMrush, and we couldn't work it out. Eventually, we worked out that everything has changed. It's all different, blah, 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 blah. And we had to revert back to the universal tag. This is terribly boring, terribly technical. The result was that we are not using GA4 on any website right now, because it's not supported by the tools that we use to actually track things and send reports to clients. So beyond that, I haven't looked into it too much more. It has proved to be an absolute nightmare when we have delved into it in any level right now. Some of the tracking stuff in it's quite cool. Some of the new tracking stuff is quite cool, but they are not making it easy to implement it. I will say that. Yeah,
let's see. I know Google's going to shove it down our throats next year. I can really feel it.
Yes.
My webmaster, when we first got our hands on it, the very, very first time, he was like, I had to hard code HTML this into our website. Like, no WordPress developer was like, oh yeah, GA4, let's just throw it in there. No, it was like, here's something. Good luck. Best of luck, guys.
It's one slight step back, because I thought they were going to force Google Tag Manager onto everybody. And Google Tag Manager, for whatever reason, I find incredibly difficult to understand. Some of the other guys in the office, that they're fine with it, but me, I can't even set up a Google Tag Manager and actually put it on a website. So I'm thankful they haven't forced that on us. But it is a Google tag now. It's a Google Tag Manager tag. It's just you don't go into Google Tag Manager to set it up. So the thing that worried me more was the new reCAPTCHA stuff. So reCAPTCHA version 3 that Google have had out for, I think it's around a year or a year and a half now.
You're right.
A plugin that we use on a lot of websites on WordPress is Gravity Forms, which is just for contact forms. They didn't support reCAPTCHA 3 until just now. So we've been changing over a couple of sites in the last week or two, in fact today, to move to reCAPTCHA 3. And when I saw what Google were doing with that data, that got me worried. So they have made reCAPTCHA 3, which reCAPTCHA is basically the thing where it tries to detect that you're not a bot. You tick that box and it says, I am not a robot.
Yep.
With reCAPTCHA 3, what Google have done is made it completely seamless to the user. So you just tick the box. No more saying, how many bridges are in this image? How many motorcycles? No, you've got it wrong. There was a motorcycle in that one. No more of that. So that was why they brought in reCAPTCHA 3, to get rid of the annoying motorcycles and bridges. What they've done to get rid of it is they now track you. I mean, they already track you, but they track you even more than they did to try and analyze as to whether you are a robot or not. So when you do actually tick it, they already know whether you're a robot.
Oh, let me find my tinfoil hat real fast.
I just don't like the way that they're going with it. It worries me, to be honest, because we need to use it to stop people from getting spammed on the website constantly.
You don't have a choice.
No.
I am my client sites, we've had to put it on there because they're like, hey, we're getting stuff. It's all spam. I understand that. Definitely. I want to talk a little bit more about you, Craig. So you run a daily visual. You have your three books: the Press Start, Extreme Productions, and the Magic Visual. If people want to read those, where can they go to get those books?
Easiest place, just go to my website. It's just getdoingthings.com. There's links to them on there underneath the project section. The Magic Visual is linked on the homepage right now. They're just ebooks right now. They're all on Gumroad. I am shortly re-releasing them on Amazon, so they'll be available as books shortly.
Physical.
Yeah, physical book. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I just never got around to it. There was just another project that I did in my spare time, and I never got around to actually, making them into a book. So that's the final thing that I need to do, the final nail in the coffin on all three of them. The latest one is the Magic Visual, which is all about design, really.
Nice. I like that. And your podcast, you have 2 podcasts?
I have more.
Okay. Run me through those, because people listening, if they want to follow you, they want to learn more about you. Which ones do you recommend, and what are the other podcasts that you have? Because I guess you have more than 2. Because as you see, I tried to do my research on you. Apparently, my research was wrong. Maybe I should just Googled you.
It's not your fault. These things change every week, and I'm always doing more things than I did last week. So the thing that you do want to actually dig out is the Get Doing Things podcast, which is me talking to guests, and you've also been one of those guests on the podcast. Yes. That is your standard conversation type podcast with interesting people. So that's the main one that I do every Tuesday. And last week's episode was with Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom. Absolutely fascinating episode. If you don't know who Chris Williamson is, I suggest you Google him. Fascinating guy. Mm-hmm. The second podcast I also do is I do a podcast about the creator economy with Jamie Russo and Arvid Karl. That is a fairly new podcast. That's called the Objectively Amazing Podcast. And that's released around every couple of weeks. We record it once a month. It's all about the creator economy. So if you're making products and selling them on Gumroad or making ebooks or that kind of thing, that's the thing for you.
Nice. And
the other 2 podcasts that I do are just bizarre things that you may or may not want to tune into. So the one of them is a podcast I do with friends, which is called Free Music Discovery, where we sit down, once or twice every month and listen to free music and rate it out of 11. So we're on the hunt for finding royalty-free music that's actually good. That's the idea behind the podcast.
Is this royalty-free music that YouTube won't freak out over if it's in the background playing?
Yeah.
The censorship rules.
Yeah, well, it's a podcast. It isn't on YouTube at all. But yeah, it is actually real free music. That's the whole point of the podcast. We try and prove that some of it's good if you look. And then the final one, and the thing I'm recording straight after this, is the Wednesday audio, which I launched when I launched my email newsletter as a way to make something on a Wednesday. That is me talking into a mic on Wednesday about Wednesdays, released once a week. It's just bizarre, that podcast. That it's a fever dream, that podcast. So
okay,
if you want to listen to something weird, that's the one.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. Man. Shoot. Well, Craig, tell everyone where they can find you if someone wants to reach out to you for work or consultations or for any of your services that you offer. I know we got your hand at the bottom there. Follow Craig at Craig Burgess on Twitter. Is that the best place someone to get a hold of you? Or I know you have a website as well for the Genius division, correct?
Yeah, the best place you can find everything that I do, the links to everything. Go to Twitter. There's a link on there to getdoingthings.com. Everything else is linked on there. The books, the Genius division's linked on there. Everything else. Or you can just DM me on Twitter. I'm always open to chat. Simple as that.
You caught me mid-drink. Let me stop there. Oh, yeah.
I was going to follow up with some more Google conspiracy theories if you want to go there.
Please, I would. Yes. I don't know how much time you've got, man. I mean, we're at 46 minutes, believe it or not.
I haven't got any more, to be honest. I don't want to come across as the weird conspiracy theorist guy. So,
oh, dude, I'll do that all day because, like, whenever I make a video, and I've discovered if I make a video about how Google tracks you, which I'm about to do, I don't know if you ever looked at your Google profile of yourself and the details that it has. Stay tuned for that podcast in a couple of weeks, guys. It's crazy, and people like lose their minds, and they're like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "I'm going to just turn off my phone and blah blah." I'm like, "Well, you guys have smartwatches. Like, what do you think it's doing?" Like, but yeah, stay tuned for that podcast later on down the road, guys. With that, Craig, once again, I appreciate being on the show. Thank you for your time. As always, your pleasure to chit chat with. Guys, go follow him on Twitter. He's got some great content, some great videos on there as well that you can just quickly watch because they're short, about 2 minutes with the snippets you have on there.
Yeah, that's right. 2 minutes.
Yeah, quick to watch, quick to listen to, very informative. And with that, guys, you all take care. Happy marketing. Till next week.